Hi guys, Harry Yotis here, professional trader for 20 years now, started in 2005 and still alive in 2026. So today, let's get started. Today in the daily market update is Friday, this giant green candle, Friday the 9th of February 2026. This is a chart of the S&P 500. We always start with the market, and today's big theme is the Bitcoin capitulation over? Finally, we'll see. We'll get to that soon. First, let's talk about the technical picture here, guys. Very volatile week, culminating with a big Friday to push everything up. I mean, this was Monday. This green candle was Monday. Up big, down big, down big, down big, up. It's just one of the most volatile weeks we've experienced in a while. A lot of things happened. We know it was this SaaS-mageddon, SaaS stocks getting killed, Bitcoin getting killed. The market was going to get destroyed, everybody buying puts, fear going through the roof. We all know that, okay? But the technical picture, let's bring up the moving averages, is back to bullish. Basically, everything that we were hoping for yesterday is coming to pass today. We were hoping that this would be just a fluke one-day move down before, not fluke, but an exacerbated move down below the 50 and now back above the 50, so we're back to bullish. Just like we thought it would happen here and here and here, okay? Just briefly, nothing really violated, and we're trading above the 50, so we're back to being in the bullish camp, technically speaking. Of course, a series of higher lows and higher highs continues, and yes, back to bullish, which brings me to the second point of this analysis is sentiment. Sentiment went all the way to fear, and we were hoping that it would be exacerbated and exhausted, I should say, not exacerbated, but exhausted by yesterday. And look, the fact that we went barely into greed, all the way into fear, we had such a huge, big day today of up almost 2%, but the sentiment is still at neutral, on the border of neutral and fear. A lot of the sub-indices are still at fear. The momentum, well, I had an extreme greed in the strength there. Breadth is good. This is a very positive sign, and yet we're still buying puts. Okay, so this is all good. Okay, still at extreme fear and neutral in the other market volatility, especially. Okay, because as we coupled this, as we saw this market go down, we also were talking about the VIX imploding, and again, we were hoping that the VIX would go up to these levels and then big down day today. If we have another up day or a slight down day on Monday, I think it's going to be one of these big moves down, a protracted move down all the way back down to 13. Because, I mean, we had everything but the kitchen sink was thrown at us this week. Okay, so yeah, sentiment, because we're all the way still at fear and neutral, we have plenty of room to go higher. So everything is bullish: sentiment, fundamentals, and technicals. So let's get to the big news of the day, which is the Bitcoin capitulation. Is it over? Well, exactly as we hoped for yesterday. We had Bitcoin, okay, tanking below this key 73 level support. Okay, if you guys see, that goes back all the way, very, very strong support since beginning of 2024, and it broke it yesterday. Okay, but that could have been a bear trap. You don't know, especially since we had this huge volume bar. We were hoping that this is the biggest volume bar in a long time, almost ever, in this security, at least in Bitstamp here, in the Bitstamp exchange, I would say. But then today we had big comeback with almost equal volume, okay? It's not over yet. That's why I don't want to say that it's completely over. We have to recapture this level and start going higher for a couple of days, okay, before we can say that this capitulation is over. Because it could still go down and head lower. Something could happen over the weekend. You don't know, but this is a very good, encouraging sign that the Bitcoin sell-off might be over, which affected every other asset. Okay, we affected SPY. General stocks were getting smoked on this. Okay, and we also saw gold and silver getting hit too. Okay, but gold is much more resilient. Okay, very, very strong. Up today, another 3.6%. I think this holds higher, and between these two levels, remember, 4,400 and 5,000, or maybe like 5,500. But I like the 5,000 psychological level. If it stays within these levels for, especially at the high end, it's very, very bullish. So gold being bought back, and of course silver coming back too, but still much lower than gold. Okay, it's a big update today, almost 9%. Super volatile. We're staying out of it. Okay, I just wanted to bring this up right now to mention that the Bitcoin capitulation affected all assets. Okay, but if we look at SPY, still very, very positive. Very, very positive. We have looked some leading indicators in SPY. The semiconductors up big again today. Look at this semiconductors. This is a very strong sector. This is a leading sector in the market. If this goes bad, the market usually goes bad, but this is looking very good. It absorbed all the selling, still a series of higher highs and higher lows, and then today big comeback because I think the Bitcoin capitulation might be over because there's no selling in other assets. Okay, the selling that will happen in Bitcoin going forward. It might just be trickle down selling that just nobody wants to be in the space. It'll be just a meh space for going forward, okay? But you have semiconductor, NVIDIA, okay? NVIDIA, positive today, thanks to the semiconductors. Still within this range. It has to break above here convincingly to go to new highs. And it's consolidating for a long, long time. We don't know where the next move is. I suspect it's higher because I suspect SPY goes higher. So this giant consolidation I would say, price and time area might get broken out of to the upside. I suspect it does, okay, more so than the downside, because I think SPY going forward is positive. So remember, the Bitcoin capitulation is not over yet, okay? We are still not reclaiming this 73K level, okay? But it's a good start, and I hope over the weekend maybe something happens, and Monday, cross your fingers, it goes higher, okay? So the Bitcoin capitulation, is it over? Very, very likely. Not 100% sure yet, but very, very likely given this action. I would have loved it if this was like a bullish engulfing and we went all the way and reclaimed the 73K level, but it was not to be, okay? We couldn't have that fuel yet, okay? Well, we're just back from oversold. So again, we don't know. It can continue to go drift lower after that, okay? And maybe that these gains in SPY will go down after, drift lower. We don't know yet. It's hopefully the Bitcoin capitulation is over. And we go up from now on, and no other assets are being sold to raise money for liquidations, okay? And the other news that we got today, it was back in the gold and silver space. Again, we had the CME group hikes gold and silver margins once again, okay? So as you can see, this is like the third time, I believe, the CME has raised margin requirements for gold and silver futures, okay? Both the initial and maintenance margin for gold has been increased to 9% from 8%, okay? And for COMEX silver, it's from 15 to 8%, much higher. 18% margin for silver and 9% margin for gold. Now, let's go back to gold, okay? Gold, this is not good news for the gold market because I would say gold, it's not as bad. Let me rephrase. This is generally bad news for both gold and silver. However, for gold, it's not as bad. For silver, it's more so, okay? It doesn't mean that other forces can't overwhelm it, but this is a very powerful move to tame the silver market. But for gold, I don't think it does much because the buyers of gold recently have been the sovereign players. They're big. A move from 8%, hiking margin rates from 8% to 9% is not going to really affect the gold market, especially since it's a much, much bigger market. Okay, silver, yes. Okay, the silver market, though, will get affected. We don't know whether the players will come in and start accumulating silver again, but because the market in silver it's much, much thinner, okay, and it has a much thinner float, and you can move the price more in the futures market than you can with gold. Okay, so silver is more vulnerable to margin requirement hikes than gold is. Okay, and it's because it's the nature of the market. Okay, so given that it's more negative, it'll be a headwind, not a tailwind. It'll be a headwind for silver and gold, but not so much gold. I'm not worried about gold at all, but I am worried that silver might be stuck at the lower part of this range. Remember, gold, this is the range I think it sticks in between 5,000, let's say 5,500 to be technical, about 5,000 and 4,400. Okay, if it stays within this range, it's very, very bullish. I think it stays higher because of that fact. Okay, so it's probably gold is probably going to stay at the high end of the range, whereas silver might be stuck at the bottom of this range. And the range I'm talking about is from 55 here, between these blue lines, $55 to 117. Okay, ish. These are not written in stone. Okay, these are ish levels. Okay, so I think it stays maybe to the middle, low end of this range. Okay, it has a lot of chewing up to do. Okay, despite the fact that the physical market, they're still asking for a lot of deliveries in the COMEX. Okay, it's going to get wild coming forward. Okay, because the physical market is still tight, but the futures market can be very much manipulated, or not manipulated, but a sell order in the futures market will have a huge impact in the silver market because of the nature the nature of the game. It's just like a small float. With, you can really sell a lot. 1 ounce of silver is just, $77, okay, right now. Whereas 1 ounce of gold is close to 5,000. Okay, it's a lot more it's a lot less value. Okay, a lot less dollars required to tank the silver price than it is to tank the gold price. Okay, that's it. Thin, smaller market. That's the only reason why this is more vulnerable to these bear rates. Okay, so we have to look forward to silver and gold still consolidating, letting this like huge volatility abate before trying to go in long, more so than gold. I am longer gold than I am more long gold than I am silver. Okay, for this particular reason, because gold is more of a certainty to me than silver is. Okay, silver is a huge kicker, but nevertheless, I think both are great, but I think gold is more solid going forward. Okay, so that's it, guys. Let's reiterate. SPY back to bullish. Hopefully this signifies that the Bitcoin capitulation is done and assets are being bought. Okay, we'll see. We are bullish because we are trading above the 50 again. And coupled with the fact that the sentiment is still in the toilet, that's why I'm more bullish than I was before. Okay, because this leaves a lot more room now for us to get into all-time highs and stay there for like a week or 2 or 3. Okay. So thank you to the Fear and Greed Index or any other sentiment. We had a lot of puts being bought during these scary capitulation days, and I think they're going to get expired worthless. Okay, is a Bitcoin capitulation over? I hope so, but I'm not 100%. Okay, I would be more certain. We had a good up day here after a huge volume, one of the biggest volumes ever, capitulation days on Thursday, and Friday bought back, but it could still drift lower. Okay, we have to recapture the 73 and stay around the 85 to 90 range. Okay, that's important. It has to be recaptured. Otherwise, it could just serve as resistance before going back down again. Okay, we just see another day like today on Monday with high volume, big green candles staying within here and super strong intraday trading. That would be more certain that the capitulation is over. Okay, but the market itself, okay, I shouldn't say that. It's not as vulnerable to a Bitcoin capitulation as something else. Look, last time the biggest Bitcoin capitulation ever, when it went down like 35%, only dropped the market down 4%. This was a 3% move at best. Okay, and then quickly bought back. Here it took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. When I said quickly, when these capitulation moves end, it quickly gets bought back. This is even quicker because it wasn't as big as this previous Bitcoin 1.0 capitulation. Okay, so this is very positive for the market, which is also shown in the leading indices like semiconductors. Semiconductors, look at that. And a child can see back and up and to the right. A child can see that this is a bullish pattern. Okay, nothing has been violated, super strong, and NVIDIA waiting to make a move. Semiconductor of choice, right? Making, I wouldn't call it semis, but whatever, NVIDIA is the biggest player in the AI space and will go higher in the future because of this long consolidation time that it took place in price and time. The longer the consolidation, the bigger the move once it does break out. Okay, so watch NVIDIA, watch the semiconductors because they are a leading indicator, and of course margin requirements for the CME group here for silver and gold futures. CME hikes gold and silver margins, and I think gold can take that hit way more than silver. but we shall see, because we don't know what's going on, what's the future is going to bring. I just stick into my plan that I think that these silver and gold will consolidate for weeks, maybe months, maybe all the way into April. You don't know. I'm just not buying anything extra right now. I'm waiting. That's it, guys. I'm looking forward to next week. Of course, like and subscribe if you like what you hear, and comment below, and I will always answer your comments as fast as I can. So thanks, guys, and looking forward to a very crazy February coming up. Later.